renseignements sur les efforts de rétablissement de la ville peuvent téléphoner le 613-580-2400. Thank you again for joining us. Merci d'être parmi nous. My name is Kina Leclerc and I will be your moderator. Je m'appelle Kina Leclerc et je serai l'animatrice de ce point de presse. Today we will be hearing remarks from le maire, Jim Watson, Alain Gontier, General Manager, Public Works, Directeur général, Service des travaux publics, Kim Ayotte, General Manager, Emergency and Protective Services, Directeur général des services de protection et d'urgence, and Bryce Conrad, President and Chief Executive Officer, Hydro Ottawa, Président et chef de la direction. We also, as usual, have additional city staff from Ottawa Public Health and the Ottawa Police Service, available to answer questions following remarks. At this time, I'd like to invite His Worship, Jim Watson, Mayor of the City of Ottawa, to say a few words. Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Alors, merci beaucoup, Kina. Bonjour tout le monde. Good afternoon, everyone. And my thanks to our staff and members of the media and members of the public listening in on this press conference. At the current time, power has been restored to more than 137,000 hydro customers in the City of Ottawa, with 43,000 still without power. Our crews continue to work around the clock to help our residents across the city get power back, and I want to thank them for their nonstop efforts over the last 6 days. We are making progress on all fronts, but road closures and traffic impacts are ongoing due to fallen trees and debris and wires on roadways. We anticipate that the cleanup of fallen trees and debris will take several weeks, and we appreciate people's patience and understanding. Lots of challenges remain for residents in hard-hit areas, including many rural residents who remain without power, internet, or running water. Some have destroyed barns or flooded basements, and others have livestock in great need of water. The situation is dire for many of those residents in rural Ottawa. I'd encourage folks to check in on the welfare of their friends and family in these areas if they're able to do so. I've also asked Premier Ford to do whatever he can to get more Hydro One capacity in those areas, increase the number of crews in rural areas such as Cumberland, which has been very hard hit, and I thank my colleague Councillor Kitts for her good work, Osgood, West Carleton, and Rideau Goulburn. Now, that being said, things are beginning to return to normal in other parts of the city that were less impacted. The 2022 edition of the Tamarack Ottawa Race Weekend will go on as planned this weekend, as will the Great Glebe Garage Sale and the Red Blacks game tomorrow at Lansdowne. I want to thank all of the organizers, the city's Events Central Office, Ottawa Police, and city crews for going above and beyond to ensure that these events can be maintained. Merci à tous nos partenariats de leurs efforts pour livrer ces événements importants pour notre communauté ici à Ottawa. As part of the Ottawa Race Weekend, the Desjardins Charity Challenge is aiming to raise $1 million, and this year, fortunately, the Ottawa Food Bank is their participating charity. After the events of the past weekend, in the past week, they could really use our support, and every dollar counts, so please donate if you can. I spoke with the CEO of the Ottawa Food Bank, and while they always appreciate food being donated, money at this point goes a lot farther in terms of gift cards that can be given to individuals. The city, as you know, is also offering emergency financial food aid for residents who are in need because of the power outages. So far, as of today, we've received 900 requests for this emergency assistance, and our city staff continue to respond to these as quickly as they can. Applications for emergency assistance can be completed online or over the phone, and details are available on ottawa.ca. The City of Ottawa is partnering with community agencies to connect residents in need of food to available resources as part of the storm recovery. As you know, we have 17 community resource centers open in all parts of the city to help you out. Many generous community groups have stepped up to help in their neighborhoods in need. For example, impacted residents can now go to the Metropolitan Bible Church on Prince of Wales near Hunt Club if they're in need of a shower or food. My colleague, Councillor Eglai, has asked that we get this message out. It's the Metropolitan Bible Church. They're at 2176 Prince of Wales Drive. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to visit an Anglican church on Maryville and a mosque in Ottawa South, which have both opened their doors and their hearts to residents in need by providing hot meals and fellowship. Nous sommes reconnaissants pour l'appui de ces partenariats communautaires qui répondent à l'appel. We still have an urgent need for more support from those who can help emergency meal providers like the Mission and the Salvation Army and we are encouraging those who can to please donate money rather than food to the food bank as they continue to deal with power supply issues. They are expecting a significant uptake in the needs over the next few weeks, as many vulnerable people need to replace lost food from the storm. Residents in need can also call 211 for information on government and local community-based health and social services, including food resources such as Meals on Wheels. Residents can also check the city's website for information on the many emergency reception centers that have been opened to help residents. Locations and hours are subject to change based on community needs, so please visit ottawa.ca/storm recovery for more information. Visitez ottawa.ca/après la tempête pour plus d'informations. Again, I want to commend our city staff for the exceptional job that they've done helping to support residents over the last few days. Merci à vous tous pour vos efforts incroyables depuis samedi après-midi. I also want to thank our Hydro Ottawa and Hydro One crews, as well as members of the electrical authorities from around the country, now from North America, who have come to help as they continue to work nonstop to restore power across the city. I'll now hand things over to Alain Gauthier, the General Manager of Public Works, to provide further updates. Merci. Thank you, Alain.
Merci, Monsieur le Maire. Good afternoon, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. As many of you are probably following the weather, we are expecting some rain that's already started and continuing tomorrow, potentially into Saturday. I can assure you that our crews in terms of public works and our partners will continue to be out there, continue to focus on restoring the transportation system, finalizing our collection of the food waste, and also the massive effort that's underway right now in terms of collecting all of the debris. Each day we have had over 600 public works boots on the ground, and they're also expected to continue to work overtime through the weekend. Au courant des derniers jours et aujourd'hui inclusivement, on a au-dessus de 600 employés de la Direction générale des travaux publics qui ont été redéployés pour appuyer les priorités au niveau de rétablir le système de transport, la collecte des matières organiques et aussi l'enlèvement des débris. So as Mr. Mayor indicated, in addition to the cleanup efforts that's underway, we also have major events on the weekend, the Red Blacks on Friday, Glebe Garage Sale on Saturday, and then the well-attended race weekend. All of these events require public works support, so our crews and our teams are going to be very busy through the weekend. So in terms of focusing on the update in terms of the transportation network, we're making very good progress with the assistance of our partners at Hydro Ottawa, and a big kudos to the Hydro team. The work that they've been doing has been nothing short of impressive. We are now down to 75. Yesterday, I reported that we were down to 75 intersections that were still not operational. That has been whittled down to 54. Of those 54, 4 we cannot access yet. They're mainly along Merivale Road. We're working closely with our hydro partners to be able to ensure that those areas are safe to be able to access. As soon as they are, we're going to be able to restore those intersections. About half of the intersections that remain that are not operational because of lack of power, we are actually providing standby generators on a temporary basis during peak hours. And we're expecting that within the next day or so, as we restore power to a lot of the intersections, we'll be able to manage the gap of those that don't have power with our standby generator capacity. In terms of the second priority related to collecting food waste, I can say that that's been a very successful undertaking. We have had the green bin collection blitz over the last couple of days. We've collected over 33 tons of waste, organic waste. That's the equivalent of 3 buses. We've also collected a lot of waste through the 15 bins that have been dispersed across the city that I reported on yesterday. I'm not going to go through the 15 locations again. They're on the website, and they certainly have been well covered on social media. Those bins will be removed on Saturday. By Saturday, basically all the green bin collection will have been completed, and we're going to be back into our regular collection cycle. In terms of curbside collection continues with a focus on green bin, garbage, recycling, and also leaf and yard. The leaf and yard, because of the rain, we're focusing more on collecting bags. So anything that deals with tree debris, we ask residents to just leave them aside. We will be back to pick them up. It'll take us longer than the usual cycle, but we will be back to collect them. And again, just a reminder to try to keep materials separated. So anything that deals with trees, branches, to leave those separate from other garbage materials, fence sections, wood, patio furniture that's been damaged, all that, because they're going through separate processing facilities. Au niveau de la collecte en bordure de rue, la priorité demeure les bacs verts, les poubelles, le recyclage et aussi les matières organiques, surtout ceux qui sont dans des sacs. Au niveau des broussailles, on demande de les garder séparément et nous allons faire une collecte un peu plus tard pour ces matériaux. On essaie de vraiment de concentrer sur les matières organiques à ce point-ci. The last priority and the one that really is becoming more the focus is on the removal of trees, branches, brushes, and debris. This is as I indicated yesterday, this is a massive undertaking that's underway, and it's not a one size fits all. Depending on, we are scaling basically our operations depending on the level of damage that we're seeing in the community. So in the 4 hardest hit community of Cumberland, Knoxdale, Maryville, River, and Stittsville, you will see operations with a lot of heavy equipment to look after the cleanup. In particularly the Knoxdale, Maryville area, especially around Pine Glen, Amberwood, you're going to see cleanup operations of a different scale to anything else that we have across the city, just because of the level of damage that area has sustained. We also have other areas where we have staff that are collecting waste that can be done more manually, and we're also identifying areas for the volunteers to be able to assist with their collection. So we're working with the EOC with our volunteer programs, and we'll also have opportunities for them to be able to assist us through the collection. Donc, au cours des prochains jours, vous allez voir vraiment les travaux au niveau de la collecte des débris prendre une différente ampleur. Ce n'est pas la même échelle pour tous les secteurs de la ville. Vraiment, les opérations sont axées sur l'ampleur des dommages et des débris qu'on a besoin de ramasser. Ces travaux sont, lorsqu'on travaille alentour de l'équipement lourd, sont dangereux, et on demande aux résidents de vraiment garder leur distance. In the areas that are most impacted by damage, we will have a lot of heavy equipment. These are dangerous operations, so we do ask residents to please keep a safe distance. We really appreciate everyone's patience. The community has been extremely supportive. I know that the community has been sending a lot of kudos in person through social media. I can assure you that really is uplifting for our staff. Our staff in Public Works and our partners have been working long hours. The work is not done. They're tired. There are also a lot of them going through the same challenges as other people in the community in terms of not being without power and suffering loss, but we're here to serve our community. So a big thank you to the community. Je veux vraiment lancer un grand remerciement à la communauté pour tous les messages d'appui et de support que vous avez donnés envers nos équipes et nos partenaires. C'est quelque chose qui vraiment qui remonte le moral des équipes. Le personnel est fatigué, c'est des longues heures, il y a encore beaucoup de travail à faire, mais tous les messages positifs sont vraiment bien reçus. So all we ask is basically that there's still a lot of work ahead in the coming weeks, but we ask everybody to please stay safe, rester en sécurité.
Thank you, Alain. Merci beaucoup, Alain. I understand I had some connectivity issues at the beginning, so I just wanted to take the time to repeat that we unfortunately are not able to provide sign language interpretation today. Residents who wish for more information on the city's storm recovery efforts can use the Canada Video Relay Service by calling 613-580-2400. Juste pour répéter, malheureusement, on n'est pas en mesure d'offrir le service d'interprétation gestuelle aujourd'hui. Les résidents qui recherchent des renseignements sur les efforts de rétablissement de la ville peuvent téléphoner le 613-280-2400. I would now like to invite Kim Ayotte, General Manager of Emergency and Protective Services, to say a few words. J'invite maintenant Kim Ayotte, Directeur général des services de protection d'urgence, à dire quelques mots. Kim, you're on mute.
Merci, Kina. Bonjour tout le monde. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to our community, our first responders, our city staff for continuing to support one another following Saturday's storm. We're making positive progress in our recovery and moving forward as a community. As we enter a new stage of recovery, you'll begin to see resources diverted from some of our current activities to new ones in the coming days. I will share updates on new recovery activities as they're available. Alors que nous commençons une nouvelle étape de travaux de rétablissement, vous allez voir que nous bougerons certaines ressources vers d'autres activités au cours des prochains jours. Je partagerai des mises en jour sur les nouvelles activées dès que je serai en mesure de le faire. Many residents have reached out asking to volunteer with our recovery efforts. Unfortunately, downed wires are still a danger, and we must first ensure that the area is safe for residents to assist. In the coming days, however, the Emergency Operations Center, in partnership with community agencies, will launch a volunteer program for residents interested in helping recovery efforts in their community and for those in need. I will share more information on this shortly. I'd also like to extend my thanks to the Samaritan's Purse, who will begin helping with debris removal on private property this Saturday. We have also reached out to the province regarding their disaster recovery assistance program for some eligible residents. It provides some funding for things that insurance will not cover. Representatives from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing will be in our EOC tomorrow morning and will commence their site visits. Regarding wellness visits, staff from the Community and Social Services Department, Ottawa Public Health, and Red Cross continue to do wellness visits to assess ongoing needs of residents. Ottawa fire crews have completed thousands of checks between their 3 command areas, and rural crews are out in full force. Crews are working hard to visit buildings without power to ensure fire alarm systems are connected to generators and have battery backups, and to provide water. They're also removing debris, cutting trees, and lifting heavy objects from the storm. For those still without power, I would also like to reiterate, use flashlights and battery-powered lamps instead of candles. If you must use candles, use proper candle holders and never leave lit candles unattended. If you continue to use portable generators, do not operate inside, including your garage. Carbon monoxide is a deadly, colorless, odorless gas. We don't need anybody injured. Regarding emergency reception centers, we are seeing fewer visits to our emergency reception centers, which is a good trend in the right direction. However, for those who still need access and support, they're operating today and tomorrow. Il y a moins de gens qui viennent à nos centres de réception et qui représentent un pas dans la bonne direction. Ces centres vont rester ouverts aujourd'hui et demain pour les personnes qui ont toujours besoin de soutien. Today, we expect community partners to deliver over 10,000 meals to some of our centers. Those centers are open from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. We'll share the weekend schedule tomorrow. The full list of emergency centers and where to find food and water is at the Storm Recovery webpage. You'll find that at ottawa.ca/storm recovery. La liste complète des centres d'urgence et des endroits de trouver la nourriture et de l'eau sur la page web Rétablissement après la tempête. Vous trouverez cette page à l'adresse ottawa.ca/après la tempête. I understand some residents still have limited access to internet or cellular phones. Please continue to monitor local radio when you are able. They have been doing an excellent job sharing the city's storm recovery information. Thank you and stay safe.
Thank you very much, Kim. Our final speaker Here today is Bryce Conrad, President and Chief Executive Officer of Hydro Ottawa. Finalement, je vais inviter Bryce Conrad, président et chef de la direction de Hydro Ottawa, à nous dire quelques mots. Bryce, go ahead.
Good afternoon. I'll skip with the platitudes today, as I know that you and our customers are looking for some simple facts and answers. At present, as the mayor said, we've restored power to over 137,000 customers. We have 43,000 customers left to restore. A few additional comments, if I may. First, I fundamentally believe that there's a lack of appreciation for just how devastating this storm was. From Windsor through Toronto and Peterborough and Ottawa and into Quebec, this storm was unlike anything any of us have ever seen or dealt with before. There were fatalities and a significant number of injuries, not to mention the incredible damage to properties. This was not a typical ice storm or windstorm that knocks down a few poles and where 15 to 20,000 people lose power for a few hours. That is an inconvenience in the grand scheme of things. Let me assure you as well that no one builds infrastructure to withstand 190 km/h winds. Ottawa and Uxbridge were the hardest hit communities, and as the mayor said, the cleanup will continue for weeks. Second point, the damage to our distribution system is simply beyond comparison. Early on, I said it was worse than both the tornadoes in 2018 and the ice storm in 98. What I can say now is that it is anywhere from 4 to 5 times worse than the tornadoes. Earlier this week, we said that we had over 225 poles that were down and needed to be replaced. We're now at over 300 and counting. Crews are continuing to work around the clock, and it is our sincere hope, weather permitting, that we will have the bulk of our power system up and running by tomorrow night. The bulk of our power system is the key phrase. I don't expect any of you to understand the inner mechanics of our system, but think of it like our own road network. We will have the large arterial roads open for power, and we will have power running to most, if not all, of our communities. But there will be roads and cul-de-sacs here and there where the power is interrupted because of trees or damage to conductors or other debris. As an example, last night we flowed power to an area that we expected to pick up 1,500 customers. In reality, we picked up 1,200. The remaining 300 were impacted by trees, debris, or damage that we did not see. Those small isolated customers will take additional time to reconnect. The good news is that we have the resources necessary to deploy to those areas as we complete restoration efforts elsewhere. Getting down to the residential area level, as I noted yesterday, we fully expect to find a significant number of houses that have sustained damage to their electrical equipment. That equipment needs to be repaired before we can re-energize a house. We have worked with the Electrical Safety Authority to have inspectors working with our crews to isolate and reconnect when the repair work is done. We will be providing counselors in the city with a simple, straightforward fact sheet as to what is required in the process. Our goal is to make this as easy and as simple as possible for the homeowners that have already been traumatized by the storm and the outage. We're also getting a lot of comments from people saying that they're not seeing our trucks in specific areas. Please understand, just because you do not see a truck doesn't mean that your area is not being worked on. Our system is highly automated and managed centrally. A lot of the switching work is done by our system office and does not involve trucks or crews being on site. Where you will see our crews is where we have large-scale construction activities underway, Maryvale, Woodruff, and Greenbank as an example. And again, I would simply ask that you give the crews the space that they need to work safely and securely. They are working under very trying and difficult circumstances, and their safety and yours is paramount. At this point, we're also in a position to provide some additional information to our customers with respect to the work today and plans. And please note, this is an incredibly dynamic process. Depending on the weather, additional damage found, and other emergency requirements, we are hoping to be able to re-energize all or part of the following communities today. Bel Air Heights in the Iris area, north of Baseline, east of Woodruff, and southwest of Maitland, and south of the 417. The Overbrook area, the village of Richmond, significant in the remaining significant parts of Alta Vista, the Colonnade area in Prince of Wales near Colonnade, and Maryvale Road, south of Hunt Club and north of Slack. Please note, this is by no means an exhaustive list. This is simply in keeping with the commitment that I made yesterday, which was to provide community level information as soon as I could. There will absolutely be other pockets and communities where re-energization will be attempted. And again, even where these areas are energized, there will be residents that are not repowered because of what I noted earlier, namely the damage or trees on line or other debris. I'd simply like to finish by thanking our customers for their ongoing patience and support. We know you're counting on us, and we will not waver until the work is complete. And I want to take the opportunity to thank the men and women at Hydro Ottawa, our contractors and utilities that have responded to our ask for help. They have been working around the clock for days now, They're tired, stressed, and frustrated that they're not making this happen faster. They're an inspirational crew, and it is my privilege and honor to simply be part of that team. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bryce. I'll now invite each media agency to ask their question. You may ask one question with one follow-up. J'invite maintenant chaque organisme à poser une question et une question de suivi. We will now begin with David Fraser at CBC Ottawa.
Hi there, thanks. This question for Hydro Ottawa. We've heard in previous weather events that communication with those affected will improve, and we are continuing to hear complaints about the communication from Hydro Ottawa in this situation in terms of updating people. What confidence can we have that next time there's a significant weather event like this, customers will be adequately updated?
Let me just state by saying I hope there is no more events like this. Look, the system is built, we're trying our best to sort of manage the communications. Our outage management system, which is the MAP, which everyone has talked about ad nauseum, that MAP works in a normal circumstance when you have normal outages or even larger outages. It doesn't work when your whole system has been collapsed. So I think you have to appreciate that this is different. And as I said, this is a storm unlike anything we've ever seen before. So in a normal circumstance, when someone calls in, they report that their power is out, it gets put up on the map, everything is good. In this instance, people are saying, hey, it shows me I'm powered up, but I don't have power, so I'm calling back in. Every time someone calls in, it triggers a work ticket. So it got overwhelming from our perspective, and to the point where we simply said we need to focus on the prioritization has to be restoration. So we are communicating via social media. We are putting messaging out to our shareholder and the councillors on a daily basis. We're in touch with as many people as we can. Appreciate that it's never enough, but it is where we are. And the last thing I wanted to do was put out information that was in any way misleading. So there would be nothing as frustrating as me saying your power will be on by 2 o'clock and missing the 2 o'clock deadline. And at this point, given the dynamic nature of the system, I simply wasn't in a position to comment as to when we would have that power restored. So
I can appreciate the hope for this event, an event like this not happening again, but that's not what we're told. We're told from experts that we should be expecting more events like this. So as you look forward, what will you do to commit to improving so that the next time this does happen, we aren't in a position like this again when it comes to communications and having the troubles that you described there with the map? Thank you.
Sure. No, great question. I don't want to in any way sound defensive. So when this is all over and done and we have everybody restored, we will do a postmortem. We will do a deep dive. We will figure out what worked, what didn't work, and where we need to improve. And obviously communications is going to be one of those areas. I can tell you that right now. So where we acknowledge that, and we'll simply try to do better.
Thank you very much. Nous allons maintenant passer à, we will go to Josh Pringle at CTV Ottawa.
Thank you very much. My first question is for Mr. Conrad. You said the goal is to have the system energized by Friday. We had some residents in Stittsville tell us that they're hearing it maybe Tuesday before their power is restored. Any insight into that sort of deadline where it still could be 4 or 5 days before homes have power?
Yeah, sorry. And again, I think this goes back to the earlier question about communication. In the absence of us telling people when the power will be restored, you're getting a lot of rumor, innuendo, and conjecture. So no, there's nothing to suggest Tuesday. Will there be pockets of people out of power on Tuesday? Yeah, I explained why. But our goal is to sort of get the bulk system up and running tomorrow.
Josh, just could mention, I was talking with my colleague Glenn Gower, who tells me, based on his touring around his community, he knows very well that there are a few dozen people without power. So it's come down substantially from several thousand to a few dozen. So he feels that there's been a fair amount of progress made in the last 24 hours.
Thank you. And my second question is, Mayor, earlier in your remarks, you mentioned how things are starting to get back to normal and how there's several events this weekend that will require a lot of resources, as Mr. Gonche noted. Has the city ever thought at any point, and maybe still considering maybe trying to cancel these events or postpone the events because of the devastation in the city and the resources that are required to clean up the city, that maybe it's not the time to divert resources for race weekend, Red Blacks game, and several of the other events happening this weekend?
On the Red Blacks games, as you know, there's labor discussions between the players and the owners, so we don't know if that will actually go ahead. The Great Glebe Garage Sale does not require any city services for all intents purposes. It's pretty well self-contained and it's been running for 30 years. It's usually parking issues that are a problem during the Great Glebe Garage Sale. Race weekend, as you know, it's been planned. It's been put off for 2 years. It's been planned for the last year, and that was never an option that was put forward as far as I'm concerned. It was brought to our special events team, our seat team, who gave permission to move ahead with it. So there's no question that affects a number of roads, and there are police resources that are required. But obviously, it's not going to impact hydro. The large corridors that need to be repaired are far enough away from the route, Woodruff, Maryvale, and so on. So to the best of my knowledge, I don't believe they discussed canceling it, and it's scheduled to go ahead.
And this won't strain any resources going in with the cleanup at all this weekend?
Yeah, again, the route that the marathon takes really is not in areas that are hard hit at this point. The big areas where the big poles are down are the 417, Hunt Club, those 3 large towers that are down there. So that's off the beaten path, as well as the work that has to be done to open up those large intersections that Alain talked about. So I don't know, Alain, if you wanted to add, or if we have someone from the police. I know there are police resources that come in on overtime, I believe, paid duty, Alain. And then I don't know if Kim Atwood might want to offer a comment globally from the city's perspective.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, if I can just chime in terms of the public works resources, we're not rediverting resources that supports basically these events to the cleanup. We have basically resources dedicated to support these events. They're 24/7 resources, but I can assure the community that they're not taken away from the cleanup efforts.
Okay.
And before I add, or before I let Robert Drummond from the police, who's also on the line, say a few comments, I can assure you that our seat members, special events team members, are from all walks of the city or from all areas of the city. And all of them have reviewed this very seriously with regards to the impacts of the storm and whether we should proceed or not. And they all individually said that they can support the function going forward. So from a seat perspective, it was approved based on our current situation. Robert, would you like to say a few things?
Yeah, excuse me, the Ottawa Police is also involved with those meetings as well. And we will be supporting the race weekend and all the events through the city of Ottawa on the weekend.
Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for your input. Nous allons maintenant passer à Julien Paquette à le droit.
Bonjour, je crois que ma première question, ce serait pour M. Gontier. Ce serait une question de précision concernant les travaux pour le retrait d'arbres qui sont tombés un peu partout à travers la ville. Là. Vous avez parlé de l'importance de ces travaux-là dans les prochains jours. C'est juste une question de savoir où ces travaux-là se concentrent. Est-ce que c'est uniquement sur la voie publique ou sur les propriétés de la ville, ou si vous aidez aussi les résidents qui ont un arbre sur leur terrain, par exemple, qui est tombé?
Merci, Julien. Non, les travaux se concentrent sur la propriété de la ville, mais on reconnaît que lorsque les résidents nettoient leur propriété, qui coupent les arbres, tout ce matériel-là est apporté en bordure du chemin. Et lorsqu'on fait les travaux de nettoyage, on ramasse tous ces débris-là, peu importe où ils proviennent. Mais les travaux physiques que nous entreprenons sont concentrés dans l'emprise municipale.
Puis Julien, je pourrais ajouter aussi qu'on a des organisations qui viennent aider aussi. Samaritan's Purse vient, puis eux autres, leur travail, ils vont concentrer sur les propriétaires privés. Ça va aider les résidents aussi.
Merci beaucoup. La prochaine question, je crois que ce serait pour Monsieur le maire. Vous avez abordé brièvement les dommages dans les secteurs ruraux. Il y a particulièrement des fermiers qui ont été affectés par la tempête. On voit par exemple, dans le coin de Naven, tout ça, des toits arrachés sur des silos, sur des granges. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions, que ce soit à l'interne à la ville ou avec le gouvernement provincial et fédéral, pour une aide à ces agriculteurs-là?
Oui, merci, Julien. Ça, c'est vraiment un grand défi. C'est un grand défi pour les fermiers dans l'est de la ville, spécifiquement dans le quartier de Catherine Kitts. Et elle fait du bon travail comme une liaison entre la ville et les fermiers et les résidents de Cumberland et Sarsfield et Navan. Monsieur Hayat a expliqué que le ministère des Affaires municipales et du Logement était ici, je pense, pendant le week-end pour discuter un programme qui va aider le terrain privé, les propriétaires privés. Peut-être, Kim, est-ce que tu peux expliquer si les fermes sont eligible pour cette subvention de la province?
Oui, merci, Monsieur le maire. À ce moment, je ne pourrais pas vraiment dire les spécifiques de ça. Je n'ai pas toutes ces informations-là, mais vous pouvez trouver ça sur le site web de la province d'Ontario. Ça s'appelle l'aide aux sinistrés pour la reprise après une catastrophe. Si vous allez là, vous pouvez trouver ça. Ça a plus de détails. Mais aussi le ministre rentre demain pour en discuter pour faire leur revue.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci à Julien et à tous. We'll now be going to Sarah Krukal from North City.
Hello, thank you. Yesterday, Mayor Watson, you said that the province was committed to paying for the full cost of storm cleanup. I'm just wondering, do we have any estimates of that cost, or what the estimated cost of the storm damage is so far?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. We don't have the total amount because costs are still rolling in, obviously, but I think our city manager would confirm that we're talking millions, not hundreds of thousands of dollars, but millions, because of all of the labor costs. Over time, when we bring people in from other jurisdictions, we've obviously got to pay for their travel and accommodation and meals. So this is a very expensive undertaking, but we don't have a specific number at this stage. We know, for instance, during the convoy occupation, it was about a $36.5 million cost to deal with all of the costs incurred over that 4-week period. So Steve, do you have anything else to add above and beyond?
Yeah, I can tell you, Mayor, that, thank you. I can tell you that today our finance people met, including with police and all our different cost centers, and they started discussing. We set up a special cost center to track all costs at police and at our partners and here. And we'll be submitting that invoice, but we don't have a number just yet. It's still way too early to capture all the time that's been put in, the overtime. Over the weekend, people were working 24 hours a day. So, and those slips come in after. So there's a bit of a lag for us to catch up, and we'll have a better idea next week is what I'm estimating.
Thank you very much. My second question is the 1.9 million of social services money going to the 20 community organizations. Is that a new fund or is that part of an existing fund?
Yeah, I'll ask Donna Gray to comment. Donna Gray, General Manager of Social Services.
Yeah, thank you very much. So over the course of the COVID pandemic, the province has been providing us with social service relief funding to help mitigate some of the impacts to particularly those communities hardest hit. And food security has been one of those issues that we've been dealing with. So that funding, this is the last allocation that the city has actually had for that COVID funding. So we had already planned to prioritize food as an area of investment. So that money we've allocated out of that social service relief fund to go towards those areas where they were suffering as a result of COVID, but also now as a result of the storm on top of that. So it's a one-time fund from the provincial government.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll now be going to Blair Crawford at the Ottawa Citizen.
Hi, Sarah just asked the city about the cost, but I want to ask Bryce Conrad if he has an estimate of how much this is costing Hydro.
No, not yet. To the same point Steve made, way too early. I'm still paying crews, so way too early.
Okay, thanks. That was the only question.
Thanks, Blair. So moving on, we'll go to Mathieu Lapierre at the Ottawa Sun.
Hi, also a question for Bryce Conrad. You mentioned yesterday that the weather could cause problems for crews. I'm hearing that winds today are reaching like 40 kilometers an hour, and it looks like rain, maybe thunderstorms tomorrow. Has that had an impact on the power regeneration so far?
Not that I've been told. So the crews are working full out. I haven't been told that there's been any impacts. We've been monitoring it, obviously, from safety perspective. So 40 kilometers an hour is still within safe, or 40 kilometers an hour is still within safe operations. So no, obviously lightning, thunder, heavy rains, heavy winds, if that comes, then we'll deal with it too, but nothing right now.
And just to follow up on that, I understand that obviously this is, sometimes dangerous work. Are you concerned about crew exhaustion at all? I understand these people have been working for, nonstop for, 5-6 days.
I spend my life worrying about these crews and their safety and their ability to go home every night. So yeah, 100%. These guys have been going hard, and they're tired and they're frustrated and they're stressed, and they're dealing with the same nonsense at home that the rest of our customers are with, whether it be outages or tree limbs or all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's top of mind. But they're professionals. They're doing their job. They're here to support the community, and they'll get it done.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Nous allons maintenant passer à Samuel Blais-Gauthier à Radio-Canada. Samuel, est-ce que tu es sur la ligne? Okay, so we will proceed with Charlie Sinak at the Barhaven Independent.
Good afternoon. My question also is for Mr. Conrad. And first off, thanks very much for taking time for us today. And I know it's a very busy time for you all. You mentioned at the top of this press conference that some rural areas, Richmond, Manotick comes to mind, have been really negatively impacted whenever it comes to power outages. And I'm wondering if you could tell me a little bit about why that is. To my understanding, at least, a lot of the damage itself hasn't necessarily been in those areas. So is it a case then where those areas of the city are getting their power from places like Woodruff and Maryville? And if that's the case, I know I've seen a ton of comments on social media of people saying, people across the street from me have power, but I don't. Why can't you just send the power over my way too and hook it all up? I know it's not that easy, obviously. So I was hoping you could just give a little bit of an explanation for that, and maybe that will also hopefully stop people from asking you the same question as well.
Okay, so I'll unpack that question, Charlie. So in the rural areas of Ottawa, as the mayor said at the outset, are generally serviced by Hydro One, and I think he spoke to the support that's coming in from the province, and Hydro One was extremely hard hit as well. So our service territory is 1,100 square kilometers. Hydro One's territory is in the millions of square kilometers. So we've had nothing but fantastic cooperation with Hydro One. If we're done early, we'll roll our troops there. If they're done early, they'll roll their troops to us. So it works hand in glove. Some of the rural areas, Dunrobins, the Richmonds, those areas, the problem there is you just have long lines. It's as simple as that. There's just a very long feeder line that's coming from somewhere that goes down, 3, 4, 5 kilometers to get to those residents. And then it's just the same level of debris and tree damage out there. The problem we have is, again, if you go back to the way we've been prioritizing our recovery, we focused on the areas that we can pick up the most people first. So, you know, that's kind of where we have been. We're now in a position where we will have huge crews going into the Dunrobin area tomorrow. We'll have crews. I think I mentioned Richmond earlier in the thing. So we have crews there today. So hopefully we'll be able to energize something there this afternoon, this evening.
And then my final question is just about Maryville Road again. You mentioned, if I understand correctly, that you're hoping to have power restored in the block from, I think it's Hunt Club to Slack by the end of day today. But the area near Maryville and Viewmount, near Maryville Mall, obviously received a good brunt of the damage. Anybody who's been there says it looks like a movie set, and it really does. I know it's going to take a very long time to clean up that stretch of area. Does that mean that that part of Maryville might have to wait a little while longer to get their power back?
No. As I said at the outset, though, Charlie, like we will flow power through the bulk system into as many communities as we possibly can. We know that there will be some communities where the power just won't go. As I use the example of, you know, we tried to restore 1,500 last night. We picked up 1,200. So there are going to be communities all across Ottawa, even the ones I've mentioned, where we will turn the power on today or tonight, and it'll go and it'll stop. Instead of picking up 100% of the customers, it'll pick up 70% or 80%. And that's simply because there's still debris there. There's stuff that's broken that we need to deal with. And that won't be done by tomorrow night. That will take some additional time. But as I said at the outset, we have the crews, we have the manpower, we have the resources to get it done. We'll as we finish jobs here, we deploy to other jobs there. So.
Thank you very much, Bryce, and everybody else. Merci à tous. This concludes our media availability today. Ceci conclut notre point de presse aujourd'hui. Bonne
Thank you all.
journée.
Merci. Bye.